Good day, my friends. Good day, and welcome to Happy Gay Pride, New York City 2025. Wow. Hey, we're going to be talking about that, I hope, in a thoroughly reputable, respectable, deep and intellectually probing point of view. I find it to be utterly fascinating. I also would like very much for you to recognize the fact that we are going to be entering into this today, and I welcome you and yours. I want to remind you right off the bat that coming up, we're looking at July the 19th. We are coming closer and closer and closer. I will be at the Cutting Room in New York City, taking this on the road, so to speak, for the Red Pill Tour. Plenty of time. Get your tickets. Come on out. Let's see each other. Spend the night together, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty of time. Let's go. July the 19th. Make sure you sign up before it's too late. Make sure you sign up before it's too late. Before they say, I'm sorry, we don't have any time. Tickets are available here. The link is here. It's right there for you and yours. Today, we have some traveling and perambulating to do, locomoting, and sure enough, it comes up. People are going to be asking, what about this thing called the Gay Pride Parade? Take into account the Gay Pride Parade. Take into account the Gay Pride Parade. You must. You must. Because every year it's here. And we, of course, say, why? And I have some questions as to why. What is it about? What's it all about, Alfie? What is it? And your thoughts, your comments, your observations are always critical, because what I see and what many of us see is that this is not about diversity. It's about a weird form of distortion, a performative and celebratory form of distortion, a distortion, an upending of tradition. Pride marches, by the way, were born out of real injustice. Never forget this. Gay men, gay women were harassed, fired, fined, arrested, and worse. It was brutal. It was horrible. It was the sickest of times. They marched, especially in view of the Stonewall riot, so the state would finally acknowledge their right to be let and left alone. And they should have enjoyed these rights. It should be obvious. That fight mattered. It was righteous. It made sense. No decent person, nobody with a scintilla, a vestige, a slight ort of decency would ever want to shove gay people or anybody back into the closet or deny them civil rights, human rights, just because of whom they love or what their inclinations are. Equality before the law is non-negotiable, always will be. This is absolutely, positively, 100% correct. But then something changed. I don't know what it is. Something, dear friends, something changed. The rally, these events, whatever. The rallies that once demanded dignity now stages latex-clad pageants and satanic horns and, simulated sex gyrating in front of kids and toddlers. When did it become transgender? The quiet lesbian. Do you remember her? The quiet lesbian. She didn't have to be quiet, but you knew. Nobody but the cat lady. Everybody knew. Maybe she had a penchant for flannel. Maybe a Subaru. The gay couple that wants a mortgage in a backyard. Come on. Ordinary folks, just people like you and me. I'm not saying you have to be quiet, but just regular people. Ordinary people who shaped the first victories are nowhere not to be found. Nowhere. They don't sell tickets. They don't break algorithms. They don't shock. They just were. What happened? And shock is the point. You see, if you wish to demolish a culture, you must first wreck its norms. You must celebrate inversion, ridicule restraint, confuse the masses, confuse and obfuscate the boundaries that give life and our society structure. You see, this is not an accidental drift. This is an engineered push. Listen to what I'm saying. This is not what you think. This is, again, another group hijacked. Global elites, radical globalists, the Bilderbergers, the shadow government, corporate marketers, and state power have discovered that a population that is untethered and unleashed and unkempt, what was they? Untethered from faith or family and truth, see, they become easy to steer. See, a nation without solid ground, will cling to anything that looks like certainty. Even if that certainty is delivered by government agency or a multinational brand. You see how this thing works? Are you digging this? Look at the symbolism. Blood red lighting, Baphomet costumes, huge dystopian John Waters, divine, that big, scary, it's like Butterbean, with a wig. Children waving dollar bills at half-naked dancers. You signed on for this? Did you? Those images aren't about tolerance. You know better than that. They're about mockery. They're about distortion and disruption. See, they send a message. And the message that we're seeing, because that's what this is about. The message is that normal family life is passé. That the natural order is oppressive. That moral limits are hate. Right? Isn't that something? See, they teach children that identity is performance. That's the bottom line. This is people saying, what can we do to act crazy? And you have the radical left who say, oh, never form an opinion about this. And by the way, we're not saying that people shouldn't have the right to think. Listen, if it's peaceful, I don't care. But I'm not talking about merely that which is allowed. I'm asking, what's the reason behind this? You see, this is about changing. This is about disrupting. You see, identity right now is it. Boundaries, they consider violence. Virtue, they call it bigotry. You see, this is what we're talking about is just norm. None of us are saying, I don't know, don't be like this. If I wanted to go out and celebrate whiteness and stretch the parameters of whiteness by having floats and celebrations of how Europeans have changed the world, and if I just did tributes that basically said by virtue of just mocked I'd be done in a heartbeat. But this is different. You see, the lesbian, whatever happened to the lesbians? Do we have any sapphic sisters with us today? What about lesbians? Do they not exist anymore? Lesbian, librarians who just want to live peacefully, relevant to these people. Where are they? It seems like this is a male event. These are men trying to compete into women's sports. You don't see as much of women claiming to be men. You see how that works? And why, perchance, do you think that is? Why? The lesbian, this person. What about her? Her life, proves that I guess same-sex attraction can coexist with stability and modesty. There's a lot of people. And by the way, it's not just the lesbian. There were gay couples. I remember we had a friend of ours one time who was an older woman who died. I think she was gay. We kind of suspect that wasn't never. She never announced. Anyway, she died. We had a little bit of a kind of a memorial, and you should have seen these older gay men, these couples, their 70s and 80s, distinguished. Think. I don't know. Douglas Fairbanks or something. I mean, really, Natalie Attack. It was a completely different world. They came from it was style and panache, and it was different. Gore Vidal. And I must say, I'm not trying to prescribe a particular way of thinking for these folks, but their sexuality had nothing to do with who they were. They didn't scream and yell and mock, scare children. You see, to these people, stability is dangerous to revolutionaries. And there are so many folks, as the aforementioned and others, who live very, very quietly, very, very peacefully, and they live peacefully among others. You see, they need the parade, loud and lurid and unrelenting. They need the militant male in full fetish gear, because, you see, his presence repels the middle ground, forces a choice. Either celebrate the chaos or cower in silence. That's what they're saying. And they're confusing this performative lunacy with viable, legitimate, rational celebrations of pride. And I'm still not sure exactly what people are proud about being gay. Far be it from me to use the term what is and isn't expected. Now, either response kind of advances the project. You see, loud approval normalizes the grotesque. You see, quiet discomfort signals defeat. You see, they won. And they're just pushing this. There are people who are promoting, saying, we have no interest whatsoever in gay pride or gay anything. We just want enough people to go out there and raise as much. We want this, again, this performative form of whatever it is, drag queens. We want to scare people. We want people to get the impression that we are here, we are queer, we're not going anywhere, and whether you like it or not, it's none of your business. You see, pride still features brave protection, safety in nations where homosexuality is a crime punishable by death. I'm for that. See, that mission is worthy 100%. But in the West, where we are here, the parade is mutated and transformed into kind of like this ritualized transgression. It pushes, every time it pushes past equal rights and into a new area, a new arena, a new creed, a new understanding that declares normality obsolete. Boys and girls, men and women, friends and patriots, husbands and wives, mothers and fathers, all of you, everyone is reduced to costumes. Costumes you can swap at will. Marriage becomes a tax plan, and children become, some accessory, or some adopted, accessory, so they can complete the image. Truth becomes hate speech. Be careful what you're watching. This is Gollum politics, ladies and gentlemen. Twisted souls who clutch and cling to power like a precious jewel or a ring or something, whispering, to every institution that tradition is tyranny. You and your families, you and your schools with your tradition and your picnics and June and Ward Cleaver. Wow, that's not for us. We offer you liberation from the old constraints, but we instead deliver bondage to new ones. That's right. See, when nothing is sacred, Everything is permissible except dissent. That's the most important thing in the world. Say a kind word about biblical marriage, and you risk losing your job. That's right. If you question puberty blockers, What does this have to do with gay pride? You might face a digital inquisition. You might violate some DEI, CGS type of, is it CGS? DEI, CSG, in any event. Look, bottom line is this is a freedom. It's some kind of a velvet gulag. Now, none of this is an argument, my friends, for, puritanical repression. I'm not saying that. You're not saying that. Nobody is. Nobody's suggesting this for a moment. It's an argument, though, for sanity. And adults, I think, should realize something. Adults should be free to live without fear, number one. But freedom is not license to parade perversion in front of children or to brand moral clarity as hate. Let me say this again. I will absolutely 100% stop talking if you allowed me to do a celebration of blackface. The celebration of blackface and the minstrel show throughout history, from the cakewalk to Al Jolson to the cork. There were black performers who had blackface because they weren't black enough. May I do that? No. Why not? We find that offensive. Well, I find this offensive. Well, F you. See? That's what bothers me. See, civil rights do not require public kink. Equality doesn't demand the abolition of biology. Do you understand what's happening here? Acceptance, which I think we're all for, need not become the celebration, the exaltation of excess. Because what this is a clown parade. This is a group of people who really don't, it's nothing to do with gay. It's to shock, but it's also as a part of this performative scrum that all of a sudden people just find themselves in. The same reason who people will say that they love Zoran Mamdani. I don't know why. Now, friends, our goal is multifold, multiform. First, we have to defend genuine civil liberties and civil liberties of gay folks as well. Absolutely. Number two, we have to refuse to let radicals redefine liberty as chaos. Okay? We can love our neighbor, love everybody, without surrendering our children to ideological predators. Anybody got a problem with that? We can oppose harassment without, I guess, at the same time, surrendering truth, and that's fine. And we can protect the vulnerable and the people who need our protection, certainly, to be sure, without sacrificing the sacred. Makes sense. It's not either or. A culture survives by honoring what is good, what is true, what is beautiful. And no matter who you are, no matter where you go, family, faith, biological reality, civil rights are not oppressive relics. These aren't anything to run from. These are fact. They are the pillars, the absolute foundations that keep societies upright, which is what we're all about. And the architects of this nonsense, these purveyors of inversion, they have to blow everything up, topple everything. You see, they wanted to kill the norm. They hate this. They hate you. They hate religion. They hate patriotism. They want to destroy the nation. And the solution, as you know, the solution is not censorship, but courage. Every one of us today, every single one, everyone watching right now, believes 100% in the idea that every human being and every American deserves to be protected and can express themselves, whatever. I have been for gay marriage, if that's what you want, between consenting adults, forever. Gay adoption. I see nothing wrong with that. And not in all cases. I don't see straight adoption in all cases. But we have to speak clearly and plainly. We must say that there are words called perversion. Don't be afraid. Say it. Perversion. Call it what it is. Gay people aren't perverts. Homosexuality is not perversion. There are perverts. There are heterosexual perverts. There are people who want to show this behavior between a man and a little girl. That's not heterosexual perversion. That's unnatural. Would you help me join praising restraint? Can we? Can we celebrate just plain old ordinary virtue? Can we tell kids the truth about their bodies, their purpose, their worth? Refusing for us to kneel before these corporate idols and these people who are fueling this nonsense? Because let me tell you something. If you want to kill your brand, go rainbow. Look at Bud Light. Look what Target did. Be this conspicuously kind of a pedantic, gratuitous, paying lip service to gay stuff. Oh, it'll destroy your stock. But you know why? Because it's bullshit. And people can see right through it. We've got to push back when schools teach that feelings overrule facts. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? We have to push back and resist when parades cross the line from pride to provocation. I still don't know what you're proud about. Maybe you're celebrating the people who before you came and fought for your rights. See, there is room in the free republic for private eccentricity. Our good friend Lori Cuck, who, by the way, is quadrisexual, she'll do anything for a quarter. I'm kidding. I love America too. Thanks, Elle. Thank you. Bradley Oplin says, woke churches mimic the same church-state fusion by faith. Oh, woke churches mimic the same church-state fusion that plagued ancient Judaism. Christ wasn't crucified by faith, but by faith fused with state. Christ, and thank you for that. Christ, by the way, was crucified by virtue of the fact that he, like other great revolutionaries, posed a tremendous threat to not only Pontius Pilate, but Caesar. As you know, dear friends, there's room for a free republic and for private eccentricity. You know this. But there's no room, my friends, no room whatsoever for the ritual humiliation of the normal. You hear what I'm saying? When you elevate confusion, and discombobulation as the new standard, that's the final step before tyranny. Listen to what I'm saying. A people who can't tell male from female will never recognize slave from free. And they're doing this on purpose. And there's always plenty of folks from central casting to do the busking and to do the parading in the right. I want you everybody to stand your ground, stand your rights, uphold civil rights, uphold natural rights, reject cultural demolition. And remember, I think this is also critical, that shock is not love. We've been through this. We know the difference. It's a weapon. Don't let it conquer. Don't let it destroy the soul of a nation because somebody decides that they're unable to differentiate the truth. But we need you. Lori Cook says we should lead by example. Simple. Yes, but we also, Lori, should be able to say this is precisely what's going on. Listen. I have been around for this, and we have, most of us, have been around long enough where we've seen pretty much everything. And sometimes people will come along and they will say that it is you who is the problem. You, with your closed-minded, your moral absenteeism, you just don't understand. It's you. You, they mock. You and your funny religions. You and your simpleton ways. This is what's going on. This is what they do. I promise you, there are performative performance acts ready to go. Have you heard the latest about the Iranian terror cell? You're going to be hearing about that one. Oh, yeah. The lone wolf. Stop it. For the love of God, stop it. Let me also say this again, dear friend, and I will say it repeatedly. I don't know anyone. I have never met anyone who in any way would countenance, would agree to subjecting gay people to the horrors of subjugation merely because they're gay. No. I would never. I don't know anybody. I've never met anybody. Never. Never. Gay pride is redundant. Okay, so, but you're not saying, let us look back on the days of the people before. By the way, the people before you who really, let me tell you something. If you tried going down Fifth Avenue dressed as some giant, dressed as a, as some kind of a, I don't know what the word is, some kind of a ballerina dancer on, steroids. I don't think that's going to help much of anything, but that's just kind of me. But the bottom line is simply this. We know better than this. But do you understand that our society is under control, is under attack? Now the question you must ask me is, who are you to decide what is and isn't American society, or what is and isn't okay, or what is and isn't acceptable? You must ask that question. You must ask that question. You must ask, who am I? Right? I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? First of all, this is just my opinion. Just my opinion. And I know a couple of one things. I can tell, you don't understand, I can tell bullshit. The first time something comes along, when somebody really doesn't know it, somebody who really doesn't understand what something is about. I remember, and I shan't forget, dear friends, when, I don't know when it was, there was a time when, I think it was when the how do I say this? It was a time when the African American term came about. I don't know if you remember, if you were around for that. I do, absolutely. And it was so odd, African American. And I said, what is this African American? And people would say, well, I said, you wouldn't last an hour in Africa. Where in Africa? It's a continent. What are you talking about? Well, it's our home. It's almost Africa to these folks is what Israel is to, I don't know if it's the Zionists, but some folks in this country. Other people say Israel has nothing to do with their Judaism. And they say to me, Catholicism has nothing to do with Rome. You know what I mean? But by the same token, these people all of a sudden, and you could tell, they just all of a sudden just fell into the nomenclature and all of a sudden everybody was Mobutu Shabazz 27X. Remember that when it was during the Malcolm X period? Everybody was X, 27X and 37X and 45X and everybody. Come on, stop it. All these folks, every single one of these people found themselves in the position of not really actually understanding what they were talking about. But it was a thing they wore with pride. Lori says, my family would say colored folks still do. Well, the question is, Lori, the issue is not what you call somebody. The question is what you believe in. Your family could theoretically refer to Black America as African Americans, and yet have absolute enmity towards them, but call them the nicest of terms. So the calling doesn't mean anything. There are people who might use Negro. I don't know. You do have to understand that when somebody does not move with the time, sometimes the reluctance and the recalcitrance is a little bit more involved than just being old-fashioned. If you were to say, these colored people today deserve the same rights that we have. These colored folk Now, you might say, well, that's what I've always called people, and that's what I've always said, and that's what I've always believed. And you can say, you know what, that's great, and that's wonderful, and God bless you. But that's not what we say anymore. If I were to say, if Laurie, if you worked, if your daughter, let's say, worked in my office, and I referred to your daughter as honey, baby, little lady, you might say, excuse me, that's what I've always called women. You might say, that doesn't work just because you've always called somebody that. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying with that? So just remember that. It's okay. You might say, you don't understand. I've always said that. And they might say, that's fine. But sometimes they'll say, but we don't call people that anymore. You have to change a little bit. I do. Sometimes things change. Styles change. Things change. What are you going to do? If you have an office, somebody say, why are they wearing ties? Because they don't wear ties. People love to go to, for some reason, men don't wear ties with their suits. They have this plain old white, regular blue suit with a white shirt, but they don't wear ties. I think that was the tie, the cravat is the thing that really, makes the suit. But that's me. But either way, my friends, it's a different story. Laurie's on fire today. Laurie says, my mixed nephew only gets mad if called a swirl. LMAO. Who knew? A swirl? Well, there is this thing about mixed. And you've seen it before. You'll see a white woman with this kind of a pecan-colored young little boy. It looks white, but has the most unique fro of all. You notice that? Sometimes people want to accentuate. Sometimes parents want you to say, I want you to know this. Your child is wearing a fro. Yes, he's wearing a fro. Even though people don't necessarily wear fros, he's wearing a fro because they want you to know that he is a mixed race. And some people love this. Oh, they love this. There are people who, look at this, I still say Cassius Clay. Christian, I don't know why. Do you say Lou Alcindor for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? I mean, you can if you want, but seriously. You really do Cassius Clay? You really? I mean, okay. But come on. Aren't you kind of doing it just to piss those folks off? Aren't you? Listen, let me ask you a question. If I came to you, if I ask you, answer this question. If your son or daughter were to marry someone of another race, we'll leave it at this, would your reaction be happy? I'm happy. I prefer that. Anybody here? Does anybody prefer, think it's a great idea to have people having interracial? Our friend Saint Sears says, it's all about perspective. I was born on the island of Trinidad, and I joined the U.S. Army and became a U.S. citizen. And for years, rural America calls me African American. I know. Is Elon Musk an African American? Is Gary Player? Thank you, by the way, for your kindness. I think it is. I love to ask this question. Does anybody here say, hey, that's great? You're going to have no problem. Laurie said, I got looks when I had my nephew with me. Sad. Well, it might not be. Put it this way. You may not be getting looks. Your nephew may be getting looks like, what are you doing with her? Why is it always about you? Just saying. See, we don't really want to talk about stuff like this, but I do. You want to say race? Okay. Imagine I have this audience and I hook everybody's audience up. They're all their finger is hooked to some plethysmograph, okay? And I'm able to just ask questions, and it will automatically monitor. Let's just assume through some biochemical neurological connection. And anyway, so I say these things, and I say, for example, okay, anybody, what if your son married a black woman? Are you happy from that? I don't think people would be. I don't think they'd say yes. No, and that's not unnatural. What if I say, okay, 3 women your son is going to marry? 1, light-skinned Halle Berry looking, or I don't know what I can't think, I don't know. A dark-skinned negress. I love that word. Go ahead. Remember, the answers are going to be honest. Okay, let's talk about a different race. When I say race, do you think Asian? No. Okay. What if your son marries a Chinese girl? Well, some people say, well, you may say, no, I don't know. You know nothing about Chinese. You ever been to China? I don't know. Korean, same thing, isn't it? Japanese. See, in America, Korean, Chinese, Japanese, it's the same thing. They don't know the difference. Whatever. As long as they're okay. All right. What about Europeans? Oh, that's okay. Oh, that's okay. Polish, that's okay. Italian, that's okay, because they're white. Lithuanian, that's okay. You know the number of, not Lithuanian, Ukrainian. The number of Ukrainian pregnancy mills, because people consider Ukrainian women to be so beautiful and all that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. The way they look, how about you're Christian? Do you want your son or daughter's marrying a Jew, marrying a Muslim? Come on, be honest. Who is it that embraces this? It's okay for you not to embrace it. It's okay not to hate it. Hating is different. I think we got to talk if we have to hate it. But why must you prefer this? The absence of preference, I don't particularly care for this. What if I told you your son is marrying a considerably older woman? Same thing. Or your daughter is marrying an older man. Is he rich? Well, that's okay. But a man marrying an older woman, that's weird. Like some Doris Duke type, right? Or probably some gay man who's hooked up with like a Dina Merrill or something, right? And whatever happened to lesbians? Remember lesbians? Remember the one everybody had like a lesbian aunt or somebody short-haired, lived with her roommate, and said, "What's the story with them?" Well, she just never married. And you looked at them, and they were nice. It was like, well, that's our Aunt Phyllis. You know, she has this short hair, and she drives a Subaru, and she's just quiet, does her thing, kind of. And we always had these things. I remember as a kid, we had somebody who was a member of the family who was my mother's friend, and we always thought she was we didn't know what it was called. But there's always been one form or another. Well, guess what happened? Just like somebody said, okay, we're going to go from civil rights, let's say now, to full-blown dashiki wearing afro dark glass eldridge cleaver. That's what we're going to go for. And we're going to do it just to drive you crazy. We're going to have a bunch of people. Remember how on the Jeffersons, remember Michael, this young son, everything was a speech about black this and black that. And it was done ostensibly at the behest of Norman Lear, who himself was considered or a thought to be traditionally a kind of a lefty, as it were. But in any event, the thing is, we're going to be, and everybody, it's so weird. I will say to you, I have the right to say things I like, don't like, prefer, unfamiliar with, not crazy about. I don't know. I know a case of a man who married a woman, Chinese. Her English was, I said, you realize the nuance in communication you're going to lose? Maybe he didn't want that. The nuance of that. Little jokes. I remember somebody one time who married somebody who was, I don't know, was old or whatever. And this person thought, it was very interesting. They said he was from Europe or something. He never understood things like Three Stooges, stuff that just, there's no connection whatsoever. Okay, fine. There's this great, have you seen this one? It's very good. It's an American couple. He marries this woman. She has wild hair. It's called Pasta something. I think he moves to Italy. I'll get the name of it. But she talks like this. I don't know if I'm thinking, is she really doing this? She has this wild hair. And the thing I noticed more than anything else, there's something about a woman who chews her fingernails, who has no, I don't know about you, but when you see somebody with, don't you say like, my God, you're an adult. You're down to the quick. You have nubs. What's the matter with you? I don't know. Doesn't matter. But whenever she holds something up, it's like, oh, sorry. But she talks like this. I don't know. And I'm thinking, I think it's selling the thing. Today I took her to Costco to buy American angel hair with cauliflower style spaghetti and see what this native Italian from Perugia, whatever, believes. I don't think that this. You know how normally you hear sometimes an accent is very, as far as I'm concerned, the difference of the texture between the semolina and the durum, the farina, is the difference. Oh, thank you very much. And sometimes, of course, you talk more of the British ties, the French people. But then there's this one. And I believe that there are some carryovers to American where they must add a vowel to every word. This is what because they can't say this is, you can't, it's got to be an because there's no word, there's no sound in Italian that doesn't end with some form of, you know what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? Does this make any sense to you whatsoever? I hope it does, in a very strange way. Bob Newhart did a bit on Carson about Germans not understanding the Three Stooges. But why is he called Curly? He has no hair. This makes no sense. Yes, I like that. Lori says, thoughts on alligator Alcatraz? Come on. Okay. Listen, Lori, I don't know if anybody, seriously, I don't know if Trump is doing a good job or what. But be honest with you. We're changing the subject just a tad. Are you feeling what I'm feeling like? Okay, you like alligator Alcatraz. Okay. You don't think that's shtick? See, I will not be played for a gimmick. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Feed the alligators illegals. No, you don't mean that. You don't mean that. See, this. See, I will never, ever, I have nothing to do with people who say it to you. Talking. I know it sounds fun, but that's so stupid. I'm not going to play into this. I'm just, come on. I'm better than that. It's like Candace Owens. They're going to go after her so big. Watch. She doesn't know. Stop playing into the gimmick. Did you hear Don Bongino talk about how Kash Patel is always working and they have to work so hard? Let me ask you something. I am so monumentally. I was so happy with everything Trump was doing. Then all of a sudden, it's like, what are we doing? We've hit this brick wall. It's like, what are you doing? Iran, Israel, this. What's going on here? What happened? What about us? I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know. I don't know if he's just getting upset. I don't know. I don't know what the story is. I don't know why this is considered funny. And I know people say, oh, no, I love President Trump. I don't. It's not in my. Listen, do yourself a favor. Don't ever believe in this blind faith. You don't have to love everything everybody always does. You're not going to lose your MAGA pin if you say, no, I'm not crazy about this. This is not what I had thought about. No, that's not my thing. It's okay for you to say this. You do understand that, right? It's okay for you to say this. There's just something about this that's I know it sounds terrific, but I'm reading this last thing. Let me read this stupid thing here. Obviously, 13 hours ago, the latest story was environmental groups try blocking Trump's alligator Alcatraz. Multiple environmental groups filed a federal lawsuit Friday alleging officials did not evaluate ecologic impacts when constructing alligator Alcatraz, an illegal immigrant detention center near the Everglades and Big Cypress National Preserve. The lawsuit, filed by Friends of the Everglades and Center for Biological Diversity in the Southern District of Florida, aims to pause construction on the federal site, which is being built at the reportedly unoccupied Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport. It's a lazy lawsuit, and it ignores the fact that this land has already been developed for a decade. This is according to DHS. The 30 square mile property will be the home to 5,000 ICE detainees and is guarded by alligators and pythons. The Trump administration announced that it had approved the project and crews starting working on transformation Monday. Attorneys allege the installation of housing units, the construction of sanitation and food services systems, lighting, infrastructure, blah, 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 and the use of runway to transport detainees pose clear environmental harms. Now, okay, let me ask you this question. Is there any use in even asking you? Is there anyone here who would find that objectionable? Anybody? Anybody at all? Anybody? Is there anyone here who would find this in the least bit objectionable? Anybody? Anybody at all? Anybody? Anyone? Anybody? No. That's because we're the wrong group. We like it because it's funny. This group hates illegals. Hates. And whatever you want to do when it comes to illegals is fine because they don't belong here. They're illegal, and it's so perfect because it's low-hanging fruit and people love to talk about it. You see how that works? Of course it works like that. So anyway, my friend, so that's the way that is. So let's make sure that we pay attention to what's going on. Today I have to tool them out later to avoid the gay rights parade. Lori says, I like it because the protesters will stay away. Yeah, it's just, look, it's a shtick, Lori. It's, it's a shtick. This is the part which is the most important thing in the world. And I appreciate one of the issues which is the most important is look what is happening regarding the mayor of New York, the potential mayor, who I think will win, and how two things are happening. One, you have the Bill Ackman group who want him removed by virtue of his alleged anti-Semitism. And the other group who want him removed because because Ackman does, because he said he would actually arrest Bibi Netanyahu. And other people who believe in his want him removed because he's a lefty. Chinese humor. Very good. Thank you, mister. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now, so anyway, Lapco says, do we really want an alligator obesity epidemic? The hilarity, the absolute hilarity of your observation goes without saying. No words can best explicate the level of absolute ribaldry of what you were saying. Truly phenomenal. Thank you for this. Thank you. Beautifully funny, wonderfully great. I thank you for that. Hilarious, funny, absolutely incredible. Zidane says, majority of English speaking relationship problems are based on a lack of communication. Men don't hear every third word women speak. Maybe these broken English relationships are better off. Well, it's very interesting you say this. You do know that communication problems are never the problem. Never. Never. It's never. People know exactly what's going on. People always think that the problem with marital problem is that nobody knows. So you don't hear me. Oh, I hear you. I know exactly what your problem is. I just either don't care, or you're busting my balls, or vice versa, whatever it is. And let me also tell you, anybody who believes that you should always say whatever you want if you're married is ridiculous. Anybody who thinks that too much discussion is a problem. Too much is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Too much is a problem. This is learn to keep your mouth shut. Nobody cares about what you feel. Nobody cares about your thoughts about this. Nobody cares. Because after a while, you become a pain in the ass. It's like, do me a favor. Shut up. Suck it up. It's an unnatural relationship where you just can't walk away. Most of the times we don't have this with other people, because if we do, we just say, you know what, I don't want to talk to this guy. He's an idiot. Or I don't work with him. But when you're married, you live together, ostensibly, I mean, ideally. And consequently, you don't want to just say everything on your mind. You don't. And because you feel it doesn't validate it. Well, I think that I feel, no, excuse me. Keep your mouth shut. Nobody cares about it. Stop complaining. I've heard this. This doesn't do anything. You're not helping me. I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to change anything just because you've pointed something out. I can't, or maybe it's a familial thing or whatever it was. So this, please do yourself a favor, especially if you're younger. Learn to be tactful. Learn to keep your mouth shut, button your lip, and ask yourself, what hill do I want to die on? What's really important? Because every marriage that broke up wasn't because of communication problem. In fact, communication was too good. It was because they should have had more keep your mouth shut type of thing. That's all. Laurie says, thanks for having Colonel McGregor back. Oh, indeed. He is such a, oh my God. He might be the most interesting of everyone available in that particular genre. He is without peer. He is the best. I mean, the best. And you see, nobody gets upset. The two people who get upset, Candace Owens and that, three, Anna Emphysema Kasparian or Kasparian, and Junk Yogurt. They lose their mind. They get so angry. But these folks don't do it. Don't you understand this? This is the best. This is the best. How do we say this? Sometimes for people, they don't understand kind of how things work. And all of a sudden, Candace Owens, for example, discovered Zionism. And the Zionists and the Zionists lay off that word. That's what it's called. I know that's what it's called. And it's genocide. Lay off that word. You want to win people over to your side? Tell them the same thing, change it. Change it. But she doesn't care because her thing is, I'm right and I'm angry. But nobody else says it. Mearsheimer doesn't get mad. Napolitano, nobody. Max Blumenthal never raises his voice. Aaron Monte never. Katie Halper never. Nobody raises their voice except Candace Owens, Anna Casp, whatever her name is, and John Kilgore. Lori says, McGregor should be consulting the administration. Never. You know that would never happen. You know that would never happen, right? You know that would never happen. You know that would never happen. You can't. He can't. Because he's specifically and absolutely, positively, 100%. You must understand this. He would be completely antithetical to the specifics, to the focus, to the direction of Israel and AIPAC. You know that, right? You know that. He's saying this. Jeffrey Sachs, never. No. You know who also is one of the most incredibly important voices for whatever is Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn is fantastic. Theo Vaughn, I thought, was this redneck drug addict, podunk. He asks some of the most perfect questions. You're also seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene rising, coming forward. Good. Tucker Carlson, good. You see where this is going? You see? Fox News, you see where that schismnasium, you see where this is? Focus on this. I'm not saying not what you like. I'm telling you the way it is. American Middle East, American Israel relationships change now more than they have since 1948, even since 67. There is a rift, a schism, a chasm, a fracture that they may not be able to recover from. Oh, it's huge. And AIPAC has been exposed. I don't want to say exposed. They never were hiding anything, but it's different than anything else. You're hearing that word. Remember when Halliburton came along? Halliburton, Blackwater. When a word becomes part and parcel of your lexicon, this is what happens. This is what's critical. This is what changes. You understand this? We can't have it's a Pahlavi family back on Iran. That's up to Iran. I don't think he's got much of a chance. See, they're always telling you. You see, that's Iran's business. Let them do. Pretend you're a prez. Who's on your cabinet? Well, first of all, I would have on my cabinet, my Secretary of State would be John Mearsheimer. Israel, they would go crazy. McGregor would be my Secretary of Defense. DOJ, whatever. But one of the justices for sure. I wish I could get the Bobby Kennedy you think he is. He doesn't exist. The Bobby Kennedy is so defanged, Dr. Oz and Carrie Lake and all these people who just get subsumed. And put it this way, Kimberly Guilfoyle is more effective as the ambassador to Greece than these people are. But I'd have to think about the rest of the cabinet. Energy and things, I don't really. But I guarantee you, when it comes to foreign affairs, oh, they would go crazy. Oh, oh. Let me ask you something. Should the United States be a signatory to the ICC, to the criminal courts, criminal justice, the international? I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. I don't like international. The word international turns me off. But the best. I'll tell you who else would be absolutely aces is I want somebody who knows things like Scott Ritter. And they will trash him like you can't believe. But he says some things that are very good. For example, when you have somebody who is have you ever seen somebody who's been in the restaurant business? The restaurant business people talk about the restaurant business. They talk about things that you would never think of. Plates and servers and four tops and everything you could possibly imagine. You need somebody who knows about the military to know exactly how things are done, how things work, how they really, really work. And that's what I want, people who know what they're doing. Anybody who's ever been a talk radio person? No, nobody. Half of them. I would immediately remove Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi. I love her. She's a great person. I just don't know if I think she's a good person. I'd give her... She really let a lot of people down with that business with Epstein. President Secretary Cat Williams, no, of course not. No, I wouldn't do that. But, I mean, I know that sounds funny, but no, of course not. No. Understand this? No. So in any event, my friends, I thank you. I think it's time for us to move on. I want everybody to have a great and glorious day. I've got to negotiate the traffic before. Lori Cox, so good to see you, young lady. You always a pleasure to see your name. Zitiden Lapco, Mr. Olavon. Thank you for your Saint Cyr. Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service. Christian Janus still refers to Cassius Clay. Bless his heart. He uses the word Victrola. He probably says tin foil because it's aluminum foil. And what are you going to do? Today, my friends, we'll be back at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. At 5, I'm going to be on my good friend, Mr. Sean Atwood. There she is again. Brad Rung says, Mick Ralphs, R.I.P. Rick Hurst, and R.I.P. Mel Brooks 99. Wow. Thank you. You haven't done these in a while. We thank you for that one. We thank you for putting into perspective birthdays and the likes. Always a pleasure. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Enjoy the day. It's a beautiful 80 degrees here in New York City. We're Gay Pride Day. Remember, 4 o'clock, we'll be back. 5 o'clock, I'll be on with Sean Atwood. And Mrs. L will be doing hers at 7. No, wait a minute. Did I say 4? No, I think I'm 6. No, 6. Did I say 6? It's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. I'm so confused. Right. Just make sure you stay subscribed to Lionel Nation, and you'll always know. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. See you then. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dad.